Because it's made out of his material, his lumber, his thinking, his ideas, his take on the universe. Now here's the story, and tell me if it would work. There's an old lady and a little boy, and they're on a bus, and they're traveling across the country. And the old lady is terribly excited because she loves to travel. They're going to go to the Grand Canyon, and you will love the Grand Canyon. It's so vast. It's America. It stretches out forever. Oh my God, I once remember seeing it. Oh, you're really going to love the Grand Canyon. And after that, we'll go to Carlsbad Cavern. It goes down into the earth. It's an amazing place. Travel, my God, when I'm on the move, you know, then, and he says, no, he doesn't want that, the little boy. He sees houses with little picket fences as they go along, and he'd like to stay there and get to know people. And she says, no, no, that's a mistake. If you get to know people, they fix you in their mind, and after a while they know who you are, and after a while you're a total prisoner, and you cannot escape. And he says, no, no, I want to do that. She says, no, 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 listen to your mother. Or listen to me. I'm not sure I want to say mother there. But now they stop at a bus stop. They get off, they wander around. The little boy is being very stealthy. He waits till he's sure the storekeeper is watching him, and he grabs a candy bar and hides it in his pocket, and then goes out the door. And the storekeeper looks around and sees the older woman following the boy, and sees him starting to get on the bus, and he goes over to the bus driver, and he talks to him, and the little boy looks out the window, and he sees them talking to them, and he pulls on her skirt, and he points, and she sees it too, and she says, oh my God, and she says, all right, put out your hands, and he puts out his hands, and she puts out her hands, and they touch fingertips. And when the bus driver gets on the bus, he comes back, and there's no old lady with a little boy. There's an old man with a little girl with an oversized purse, but obviously that can't be what they're looking for. Some confusion here, and the bus driver gets back on the wheel, and he tries to drive away. As they're going along, the old man says, the next little house I come to, we're going to stop, we're going to get off, we're going to go buy that house, and we're going to settle down, and we're going to... And she's saying, oh, no, no, no. And she starts to weep. And he reaches in his pocket, and he takes out the candy bar, and he says, here, little darling. And she takes the candy bar. And that's the end of the story. That's, in my view, written with the right kind of emotionalness that Ray is very good at and that I've learned how to forge. I could forge a Ray Bradbury short story, and when I would present it to the Twilight Zone, Rod wouldn't say you stole that from Ray Bradbury, because the truth is, by the time the Martian Chronicles came out, produced by Dick Burke, who should know what he's doing, it was a bit of an embarrassment, because all of the ideas that shocked and surprised everybody when they were brand new and fresh and unstolen had been somehow used up. So that now we see, take my story, the one that I sold to Rod Serling about All of Us Are Dying. Ray Bradbury wrote a story called Dark They Were and Golden Eyed. His story was about an old farm couple on Mars, and they'd heard about the Martians and they'd seen all the artifacts of the Martians, and they were at this fair where they were exchanging food and doing things with the other settlers on Mars. And all of a sudden the woman shrieks and looks at someone, and she points, and the man looks, and they are astonished because that person standing there is their son. But their son died when he was 12, and they buried him. And what the hell can this possibly mean? But the closer they get to the thing, it's their son. So they hug him and they cuddle him, they get him on the wagon, and they take him home. And for a few weeks there, they got their son back, and everything is wonderful. But then they have to go back to the market. And when they go back to the market, the son goes along. And when the son sees another couple or another person, the son gets up and runs away. And they realize that somebody else has stolen the son, because the son has the ability to become who you want him to be, who you desire, who you visualize. And so that was a Martian. No explanation for where those Martians get that talent. In my story, no explanation for how this guy can be such a lookalike to so many different people, just taking a few clues from them and becoming what they want him to be. But here I take Ray Bradbury's thing, and I do it for The Four of Us Are Dying. Rod writes it. Nobody's the wiser, except me, in retrospect, as I look back, and I realize that's also true of most everything that I wrote for the Twilight Zone, was in some way, I was inspired by Ray. Now, I want to tell you a story, that'll be the end of it, because I think we're getting near the end of this. But this story may illustrate something to you. I'm making this up. I have no proof that any of this is true, but my writer's intuition tells me I got it down perfectly. Rod Serling has got a new show. He gets an opportunity to meet Ray Bradbury. He says, Ray, your story's so-and-so, and this one, I can buy those stories. Ray says, yes, and what if we did, you did this and this and this. Oh my God, Ray, this is going to be wonderful. My show is going to really, really be something. I'm going to take you to the network, and they're going to love all of this, and we're going to go. And so Rod then goes home, and he talks to Ashley Steiner, he talks to the networks, he talks to the various people he knows, and they say, for Christ's sakes, Rod, are you dumb? Ray Bradbury owns the West Coast. He's world famous for these kinds of stories. You put Ray Bradbury in there on any kind of a par with you, and it's going to become the Ray Bradbury Theater. For Christ's sake, Rod, forget that. Hire people like Matheson and Beaumont. They're not known. They don't have any power. But even when you hire them, don't hire them to write scripts. Buy stories from them, and then later on hire them to adapt your story into something so that you'll have power and control over this. Don't be a sap, Rod. Keep your distance from Ray Bradbury, which may be an explanation for why Ray only did one show and why Rod never did have any kind of a rationalization that I heard for why it was that the master of the kind of a story that appears in the Twilight Zone only got a glimmering of an approach to it, and even then was sort of rewritten. One of the answers to that is, of course, Ray is not a playwright. He knows how to write wonderful stories, but he thinks if he puts all that musical language in the script, that the audience will see it. But the audience won't see it. They'll see a couple of guys talking, and not all that romantic stuff that Ray put in as explanation, which is the sort of thing he does in his story. So he was not a script writer. And I think along the way, Rod must have come to realize that also, is that, you know, Ray would see a windstorm come into it, blow a house away, and the shingles would peel off like piano keys to form some great orchestra in the sky. What are you talking about, Ray? What orchestra in what sky? We got a wind blowing a goddamn building down. We don't have the technical expertise to peel them off like playing cards and have them fly off. My God, we can't animate this damn film. And Ray, well, the audience will believe it. No, they won't. They will in a short story because of the way you're managing and manipulating them with your language and your art and your music and your power and your enthusiasm and your belief. But if you turn it into a chart and tell a bunch of actors to do what they're doing, much of the majesty is gone. And that's true. I recognize that. And I'm sure Rod recognized that by the time he did get Ray to write something and then realized he's got to change a lot of that stuff because nobody on the set is going to know what the hell to do with that. You know, they don't know because, anyway, whether any of this is true, I do not know. I do not swear to it. But there's something about it that makes such bloody sense. And especially because of the way I know the way Rod felt about Ray and his work. Because Rod was really impressed with Ray Bradbury. He knew that there was a real live wire and a piece of the future.